very important point that I've got, or very important nugget that I've got from this podcast, is that 95% of things happen while you are doing the product research, and
Yeah.
that actually makes a lot of sense, because you can actually
I'm a strong believer in using some of the great softwares that are available for private label product research, like Jungle Scout and Helium 10. You really want to
like,
dive.
what's the roadmap for him to stay clear of those kind of cases and those kind of suspensions.
Yeah, so 95% of the avoidance of suspensions and potentially who are doing, $50,000,
Yeah,
$60,000 a month on TikTok Shop, and they just started 45
yeah.
days ago,
Yeah,
So I feel like Amazon seller support has neither gotten better nor
yeah.
worse over that 10 years.
So they have maintained it,
They have maintained it.
how do you figure out which things to, or which products to go with when you start Amazon wholesale, especially in 2024, because
Yeah.
game has changed a lot.
The game has definitely changed. So I think the best method that we use is, instead of trying to what I consider reverse engineer a product.
Hi Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well, Syed. How about yourself?
I'm doing great as well. So can you start with the introduction of yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, my name's Eric Castellano. I'm the owner of Amazon Lit. I've been selling on Amazon for 11 years as of a couple
Awesome.
weeks ago. And currently today I have a team of 50. We ship about 250,000 orders every single month. And my primary business model is Amazon Wholesale, but I also do private label, brand exclusives. So I manage a lot of different Amazon business models from my end.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you come up with the Amazon Lid? That's a really nice name. That's the first
Yeah.
thing that I wanna talk about. Yeah.
So we actually created this business back in 2018. Amazon Lit is my consulting business where I help people build businesses. And me and Sebastian, we were just up late one night and we came up with the name. I'm not sure how it came to fruition, but here we are, almost 6 years later, and I love it and people love it, and it sounds like you
Yeah.
like it too.
Yeah, I actually love it as well. So it's a pretty strong name as well. So
Yeah.
you have been working on Amazon for about 11 years now. So you
Yeah.
have seen all everything from ups and downs, and where Amazon was, the seller center was very simple, and to very when now it's so complicated, and so many they have provided us tools, and they have started giving us data about everything. So
Yeah.
when you started it, how was it like? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference from when I started till now is kind of like the rules that they had in place. I mean,
Yeah.
10 years ago it was a free for all. You could pretty
Yeah.
much do anything and get away with it. Now, they're looking for um, supply chain documents, sellers are
Yeah.
submitting inauthentic complaints, trademark infringements. I mean, all of those things didn't really exist 10 years ago. Or they existed, they just weren't used as
Yeah.
frequently as they're used today. So I would say that's the biggest change. But as far as buying and selling, I mean, it's pretty much the same setup as it was many years ago.
Eric, I have one very important question, and
Yes.
that is, was Amazon Seller Support as good as it was before?
I think Amazon seller support has always been the same. I mean, they're terrible to communicate with, challenging to get the right answers, a lot of back and forth and time taken out of your day. So I feel like Amazon seller support has neither gotten better nor
Yeah.
worse over that 10 years.
So they have maintained it.
They have maintained. They have maintained.
Maintaining the quality there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I think instead of seller support, what they're doing is they're pushing more into the ads. So they have executives reaching out to owners about get start implement our recommendation. That I have like this happens so many times, like I get a lot of emails like that, and they how their recommendations are.
Yes. Yeah, they want you to
So
spend more money. That's what they want you to do.
yeah, yeah, kind of weird, but yeah. So how do you see it? Is it gonna grow more, or is it going to kind of stable? It has stabilized after the COVID, and it is going to be the same.
Yeah, so COVID was massive for Amazon sellers. I
Yep.
mean, my business 4x'd
Awesome.
Pre-COVID, we were doing about 15, maybe 18 million a year, and now we're doing closer to 65, 70 million a year. And a huge portion of that was due to COVID. But I do believe that Amazon will continue to grow. I mean, it's the most convenient shopping marketplace in the
Yeah,
world. You order something, it's like this. I ordered this yesterday, and it was at my
yeah,
house this morning.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
crazy.
And yeah, I live in UAE, so if you order anything before 11 p.m., 11 a.m., they
Yeah,
get you delivered at 3 p.m. So yeah,
yeah,
two or
crazy.
3 hours, yeah, which is
Same day
really,
delivery. That's
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. So that's pretty, and also it's very convenient that if you have a shopping list, you can just press, buy again, and you can get everything again, if you want to redo everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's also everything. Amazon, like, what's the secret sauce behind it being that consistent throughout every marketplace? Because wherever there is Amazon, they have, maintained that quality.
Yeah. So you're asking like what the secret
Yeah,
is?
what's the secret sauce is? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean this the secret sauce I think is just really consistency because anybody can create one or two good private label products or
yeah,
find, 5 or 10 good brand name products to resell. But the issue where people really struggle is like the consistency of finding and continuing to create great brands and products to sell on Amazon. That's the
yeah.
hardest part.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. So, Eric, what's your thoughts on the wholesale? Because that's your, actual model, the more model of your. What's your thoughts on Amazon wholesale? Because we are seeing a lot of rules being placed there, and what I have seen now is that if you are trying to get into Amazon wholesale, it's not as profitable. Some people say it's not as profitable. Do you agree with that?
So I mean, when you operate any business correctly and you understand how the business that you're operating moves and navigates and the internal workings and all your expenses, I mean, it could be a very profitable business model. My Amazon business this month is going to do about 800 grand in
Awesome.
profits, which is a nice chunk of
Yeah.
change. Now, obviously, I got to take expenses out of that
Yeah.
and warehouse
Yeah.
rent, but still, it's a nice chunk of money. But I think really where the wholesale space is going, Syed, is Amazon wants to see legitimate business owners on Amazon. They no longer are really favoring the guy who's just trying to make a quick couple bucks and isn't consistent, isn't following the rules. They're penalizing those
Yeah.
people, right?
Yep.
And discouraging them from continuing to sell on Amazon. So I think the wholesale business model, I prefer and recommend it to be the first place that new sellers start because it teaches you a lot about Amazon, the shipping
Yeah.
fees, the return process. So, I mean, there's still a ton of opportunity there without a doubt.
But Eric, we often, when a new guy starts in the Amazon wholesale, what he goes through is that, the big sellers, the distributors, they don't, offer him a lot of support and stuff like that. And, often brands don't want to collaborate with the new guy. So how does a new guy get into it?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the barrier of entry,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Yeah.
glad that exists because if it was easy for anybody,
Yeah.
just to open up the best wholesale accounts in week
Yeah.
one, I mean, it would be much more saturated. So,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand how to communicate with these suppliers
Yeah.
properly and present yourself as an asset to them instead of a liability.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. So what's your process like when you started it? Obviously, you started a really long time ago. Did you start with a particular category? What was on your mind when you started the wholesale business? I'm talking about particularly the wholesale.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we originally started with arbitrage, so we were selling anything we could get our
Yeah.
hands on at local
Yeah.
stores. But when we first got into wholesale, our primary category was grocery. And
Oh.
even niche down further than that was like health food grocery. So keto, non-GMO, paleo, right? Some of these brands and products that health focused people were really shopping for. Amazon was a great marketplace to provide those products to customers.
But that's even harder. But I was thinking you started with something easier, but Why would you start with something that has ton of, because we were thinking about, like, we do have a, product in sports and health category, and we were thinking complementing it with the, a supplementary product, and we were
Yeah.
like, the list of requirements that Amazon has and the FDA approvals and stuff like that. We were like, we are better off not doing it than
Yeah.
doing it. So, but so what was like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of just happened. It's not something we planned on doing, but my business partner Sebastian, he went to a trade show
Uh-huh.
out in San Francisco, and we met quinoa, like a health focused quinoa company. And
Okay.
we ended up purchasing 10, 15, 20 pallets from them multiple months in a row, and it just took off. So it
Nice.
just kind of happened that we fell into that space. We didn't really choose it, it
Yeah.
just chose us.
Yeah, makes sense. And Eric, being on the point of, on the starting new and wholesale and all of that, my question is, would you recommend anyone to start a private label on supplementary foods? Like,
Um,
what's,
yeah,
yeah,
so I would probably advise not to,
yeah,
especially if you don't have any experience creating any other private label products. And for
yeah,
a few reasons, you just stated one of them, saying now Amazon requires testing for
yeah,
any supplement products. So they're
yeah,
super restrictive. And also, supplements have some of the highest cost per click for
yeah,
advertising as well.
yeah. Also, they are like subscription products, because once you buy a supplement, you are, I think you are likely to buy it 6 times more. Like, what's the ratio there?
Yeah, yeah, we definitely so we do sell some supplements now, just some everyday brand name
Yep,
supplements. And you are correct. A lot of people do subscribe and save on those
yeah,
supplements and get them ordered every 30
multiple times.
days
Yeah,
or every 45 days. So it definitely adds to the repeat customer process, which is
yeah,
great because that's just a higher average revenue per customer, which is amazing. But I wouldn't have the exact data on how
yeah,
many
yeah, I
are versus
understand.
how
Yeah.
many aren't. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, because like when I started, I came from the advertising background. So when I started working for a supplement product, and they were like, 100% ACOS is good for us, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because when you're working on, like I was working for an electronics product, and since they are high priced, and they have low cost per click, they had like 10, 15, 20% ACOS, and then there is
Yeah.
a guy saying 100% ACOS is good, and
Yeah.
I was like, no. But
No,
then I
no.
slowly learned that, supplements in health conscious things are very, they are
Yeah.
very good, and especially, average order revenue is very good. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah. I mean, right now, so we do own some private label brands as well. Um, and we also do some like brand exclusives additionally. And our A cost right now, our ROAS is like 8, which is
Yeah,
is
yeah.
is
Awesome.
pretty
That's
go ahead.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
That's pretty reasonable. And our A
yeah.
cost is right around 15%.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, what are like at Amazon Lit? What do you guys do?
So our primary focus is helping new and established businesses build out their Amazon storefronts. So um, our target customer is like a guy who's already doing $30,000, $40,000 a month. But we also work with sellers doing $5, $6 million a month,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
we
makes sense.
additionally help brand new sellers. But our goal is to get them into our community, right? And give them the resources to find better supplier accounts, optimize their repricing strategies, manage returns better, save on shipping, prep units faster. So, really streamline their entire business.
That's pretty awesome, because most agencies that I have talked to, or previously have been on, what they usually do is, like me, like they provide the advertising or they provide the branding, but that's not the, because if your back office is not profitable, if you are ordering, for example, if you're ordering from China and you are not able to save costs there, when the product gets here, it's
Yeah.
already done for. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're already at a loss. So I mean, we do it all. We even help with ads and listing
Yeah,
creation.
yeah.
I mean, every
That's the
every
easy part. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the easy part.
yeah. The hard part is managing, like you said, all the back end stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I like during COVID, a lot of people started Amazon businesses, and the major reason they had to close down, or the major reason a lot of Amazon sellers had to close down, was because the product was so expensive from the back end that they were not able to optimize it. Also, understanding supply chain is another, like, I do not understand supply chain at all. Like, I'm very, open about it, because that's a whole, mess of itself. You are
Yeah.
ordering inventory shipments, and then you have to haggle with the, Chinese shippers and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it could be a tedious process, and I know right now some people have decided to use like AWD, the distribution centers
yes,
within Amazon. But the way I feel about those, I mean, it's great to go aggressive on your ordering so you don't have to keep ordering. But I don't like that people are giving all of the control of the inventory to
yeah,
Amazon. I would prefer to use like a third party prep center, logistics center, and kind of trickle the inventory in as needed.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, Eric, I do have one question that, since you are mostly focused on Amazon, what's your thoughts on people starting the Shopify business? Because on Shopify, the biggest disadvantage is that when you start, you
Yeah,
have zero organic reach,
yeah,
because on Google you are not going to be, found until you do a proper SEO, and that's, takes a lot of, that's take half of money out of your pocket as well.
yeah. I mean, my thoughts on Shopify are you are right. For a new brand with no really presence anywhere, social media presence, Amazon presence, that brand can be very costly to get off the ground with just Shopify. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I wouldn't start just a Shopify business without having some sort of either Amazon presence or maybe like a Walmart presence, or
yeah,
most importantly, a social media presence. Or even it doesn't have to be your social media presence, but it could be maybe influencers who you're giving products to, or maybe paying a small amount of money to post about your products to
yeah.
drive traffic to your links.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that brings me to the next topic that I just remembered, that because most of the supplement products, it's very hard to advertise on Google or on other
Yeah.
products, on other places. But yeah, you can use the influencers there. So how has that been for you guys? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So we do some Amazon campaigns where we send some influencers some specific links where they could drive traffic directly to the Amazon listings. And we have one brand where the creator of it, she has a YouTube channel with about 1.5 million subscribers. So last Q4 she posted that link, and I mean that month we did over $1.5 million in sales with like
awesome.
2 or 3 SKUs just from that link being posted on our YouTube channel.
That's pretty awesome, because yeah, and also external traffic does, help your organic
Booster,
listing as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%. Amazon, I think, favors it the most because if they can pull someone off of TikTok or off
yeah.
of Google and pull them into Amazon, I mean, that's a win for them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And since you talked about, since you started with, buying things from, retail stores and then selling it on Amazon, what are your thoughts on, how Walmart has entered, and it is slowly growing. It's not there yet, but still, it's quite good as well. So do you think it is going to not going to replace Amazon at anyway? But what's your thoughts on that? Does it help in the sales or not?
Yeah, I think Walmart's a great opportunity, especially a lot of the people in our community use Walmart to sell the products that they had to remove from Amazon or they
Yes.
got restricted on Amazon for. But at the end of the day, say it, Amazon, Walmart's 10 years behind
Yeah.
Amazon. Right. So what Walmart lacks is the same software like Keepa and some of these profit
Yeah,
calculators that Amazon has. And what I think Walmart really dropped the ball is they have hundreds of stores in the US. They should
yeah,
allocate a section of those stores and turn them into fulfillment centers, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
And
I
I
thought
think
they were doing it. I actually thought that they were doing it, because they have so many stores, they could just do it.
yeah. Well, they now have the Walmart distribution centers, but there's just not enough of them to be as competitive as Amazon. There's just not enough.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on TikTok Shop as well? So that's
I
another
mean, I
one.
love TikTok Shop. I have some sellers in my community who are doing, you know, 50,
Yeah,
$60,000 a month on TikTok Shop, and they just started 45 days
yeah,
ago, you
yeah,
know? So, I mean, it's great. And right now, TikTok's really incentivizing the sellers by giving them shipping credits and discounts and low referral fees. I think the referral fee is like 4 or 5% on TikTok right now, which is crazy compared to the other
yeah,
marketplaces, which is 15.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and TikTok Shop is really taking off, and I think it's like what's the because I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. What's the delivery rate for them? Is it same day shipping or is it like late?
No, no, the TikTok shop is super extended. I mean, you can expect your inventory in about 10 days from TikTok shop.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that
And
makes sense.
I just got a notification from someone in our group today that I believe TikTok shop is actually now integrating with Amazon directly. So the headline says Amazon has partnered with TikTok to enable TikTok users to buy from Amazon without leaving TikTok, kind of like what they do with Meta and Facebook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is kind of a game changer as well. But like for Meta, you can buy it and it's pretty easy. For TikTok, like, but my question is going to be like, how, because TikTok Shop has its own kind of like isn't it like a rival situation or something like that? What do
No,
you
I
think?
don't think. I think Amazon's looking at it as like an opportunity, right? I don't
Yeah,
think they're considering it a rival. I think they're more going the partnership route
yeah,
opposed to the let's compete route, right? They're saying,
yeah,
hey, why don't you drive customers directly to Amazon because now they could get it in 24 to 48 hours instead of
yeah,
waiting 10 days.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome as well, and that is going to help a lot of users as well because TikTok has taken off, very like very hugely, and also the number of if you see some of the TikTok users is like 4 million followers,
Yeah.
5 million, 10 million. Before that, before COVID, if you remember, hitting 100K followers was a very big thing if you
Yeah.
remember it. But
Yes.
after TikTok came in, 1 million is like the base where
The
you have to
base.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Eric, tell me does you, how do you figure out which things to or which products to go with when you start Amazon wholesale, especially in 2024, because
Yeah.
game has changed a lot.
The game has definitely changed. So I think the best method that we use is instead of trying to what I consider reverse engineer a product where you find a good selling product and then you try to source somebody to buy it from. I think the best method to really get into wholesale and build some momentum is to open supplier accounts and then research the products that you already have access to. Right.
Uh-huh.
So an example would be, let's say a supplier has an Excel file with 10,000 items, right? To me, that's 10,000 opportunities of products that I could research and potentially purchase to bring into my storefront. So I always prefer to start with the supplier instead of start with the product.
That makes a lot of sense as well, and also you get you get a good idea of things as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. That
And
makes
and most of the money, say it in wholesale, is made in multi-packs, variety
yeah,
packs, right? So instead of just selling one unit of shampoo, you're selling a
yeah,
2-pack, or you're selling a 2-pack, one shampoo, one
yeah.
conditioner, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, so by listening to that, I think there is still a lot of things that you can start on the wholesale side
Yeah,
as well. So
100%.
yeah,
100%,
yeah.
man.
Coming to
100%.
the private label side, what's your thoughts on like how should a person start if he's going to start, or how should what's your thought process there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a strong believer in using some of the great softwares that are available for private label product research, like Jungle Scout and Helium 10. You really want to dive into the data before you go
Yeah,
investing any money. You want to make sure that the products that you're purchasing don't have like thousands upon thousands of reviews, and there's a few top sellers
yeah,
dominating the market. You want to make sure there's some space in there for you to get a piece of the pie. And the best
yeah,
way to do that is take a product that exists already with not a
yeah.
lot of competition and optimize it.
Yeah. I think for that you have to go into the subcategories and further subcategories,
Yeah.
because there was a time when there was used to be only category and then you
Yeah.
could haggle around stuff. But now it's like category and then there's subcategory, and within that subcategory now there is
There's
the
a
subcategory.
subcategory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. And Eric, I do have to ask you, like you said that when COVID started, you suddenly got a 4x boost. Like it sounds really great, but what was its effect on the supply chain side and also your team side as well? Because suddenly you have 4x more things to manage.
Yeah. So, fortunate for us, we had the relationships with established, very large suppliers and distributors. So, I mean, the supply chain side, we saw little to no impact, but some of the
Awesome.
smaller sellers, it was detrimental to them because
Yep.
they couldn't really source any of the products. Amazon at the time, I think they considered those products essential
Yeah.
products, right? Where they only let you ship in certain types of inventory to Amazon. So,
Yeah.
that was definitely a huge play on our end, but it was a disservice to a lot of the smaller guys. And then as far as the team forexing, I mean, there were a lot of times where the entire business would get COVID. I mean, and we would all be out for
Oh,
a couple days. But you're right; it increased the amount of returns we had. It increased the amount of products we had to reprice. It increased the entire business, which in turn increased the expenses, but the profits increased greatly as well. So
yeah.
for us, it all made sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And after after COVID, you saw, the kind of decline, or let's just say stabilization that, we saw. So how was that impacting your business? Because we saw a lot of, like what I'm connecting that to is, we saw a lot of what aggregators, form during
Yeah,
COVID times,
yeah.
and then they kind of dissolved as well. So how did you guys manage that? Because you are on a certain level of, because you are ordering certain kind of inventory, and then suddenly there is a drop and you are like, okay, this, like there is no second wave or third wave or fourth wave coming. So
Yeah.
how do we manage it in a way that we don't get extra storage fees and stuff like that?
Yeah. So ironically, we didn't see much of a drop.
Uh-huh.
What we did see was a change in the products that we're selling. People were longer buying Lysol and hand
Yeah.
sanitizer and tissues and
Yeah.
toilet paper, but people were still buying a lot of other great products. So we just
Yeah.
stopped buying some of those products that sold very well during COVID and
Uh-huh.
shifted those funds into some other inventory. So our business didn't actually drop off. It maintained that COVID level. And actually, last November, we had our best month yet where we hit a little over $7 million, which we were amazed by.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So how do you manage that? Because, but the thing is, you have been doing it for 11 years, so you kind of know how to, if it increases this much, then I have to maintain, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And what's your, how has your experience been with the Amazon? Certainly, suspending accounts or suspending the products and stuff like that. Did you have any situations like that occur?
Yes. So we've been suspended a few times in the 11 years. The first time was for about 72 hours. And then we got our account reinstated. This was probably, I don't know, 2017 or 18, so many years ago. And then about a year after that, we got suspended another time for about 40 hours. And then
Okay.
just the day after Prime Day, so just a few weeks ago, our
Yeah.
account was suspended for about 15 hours. So we've
That's
definitely dealt with suspensions. Yes.
that's actually like 15 hours, 40 hours, and
It's a
like
lot.
it's a lot, but also it's very good compared to what other guys have been going
Yeah,
through. Because have you seen that latest post from Brandon Young? I think everyone
I
who
have
is
not.
on internet saw it. So there was a situation where another company, did the brand registry, and they, uh, like kind of put a case on them, and their inventory was, like their account was suspended for, I think, little over 7 days. And
Uh-huh.
that obviously you can see the impact that costed,
Yeah,
him. And then yeah, so,
yeah,
and the brand registry was on a normal word that everyone uses. So it was very complicated situation, and I'm glad that he got out of it after he posted on social media the impact, actually helped him out. But Yeah, these kind of situations happen a lot. I have seen a lot of, big, especially in wholesale, sometimes it happens. But yeah, 15
Yeah.
hours is 15 hours is manageable. But yeah, if you do it for 7 days, that is kind of, that messes up everything.
Yeah. Well, the reason, I mean, 7 days would be devastating. 7 days of sales for us is like over a million,
Yeah.
$1.2 million. I mean, that would
Yeah.
greatly impact our business. But the reason why this one was expedited in 15 hours is because we got an inauthentic product complaint, and we
Oh.
we ended up suing the brand. So immediately when we filed the lawsuit, they retracted that complaint.
Oh. Yeah, so Eric, this brings me to my next thought, and that is, most of the Amazon, people who start Amazon are very really young guys, who have just, who just want to change their lives, and you have seen a lot of people who are just very new to the game, and they have, like you talked about the people who have started 45 days ago, and they are doing pretty well, because retail industry is, full of cases. Once you look into it and once you understand that, these things have a lot of cases in them. But for the person who is just starting out, how should he deal with it? Like, what's the roadmap for him to stay clear of, those kind of cases and those kind of suspensions?
Yeah, so 95% of the avoidance of suspensions and potential account health issues is done through your product research process, right? Because typically there's some sort of indication on the listing or the Keepa chart that you probably shouldn't have purchased that product to begin with, right? Maybe the brand's already selling it, or it's or enrolled in brand registry, or Amazon's primarily selling it, or there's one or two exclusive sellers selling it. So a lot of the avoidance of suspensions and account health issues happens in the product research process before you even buy the inventory.
That makes a lot of sense, actually,
Yeah.
because I remember a lot of my friends started the business. They were like, there is only one seller selling it, so we are going to, crush the competition. And what happened was, after their, after their listing got like 100 reviews or 500 reviews, they were hit with the that thing, and they were kind of suspended and never
Yeah.
never got back. And yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that happens as well.
Yeah.
The most interesting story I have is, there was this guy. He started Amazon in UK through his individual account during COVID.
Okay.
And as soon as he hit the limit of, most sales, like, individual account, you can only sell
Yeah. Sure.
number of inventory. So what happened was, as soon as he hit that, his account got suspended.
Suspended.
What happened was, he was buying it from a supplier who also knew that this product has started, getting a lot of sales. So he raised the cost, and
Mm.
but by the time his account was back, the cost was so high that he couldn't, buy the next inventory,
Wow.
and he had to, yeah. And he stopped doing the Amazon business, and now he's so, like, he's anti Amazon right now.
It happens. It happens. I see a lot of, so it's two-sided. I see a lot of people start and really thrive. I mean, their
Yeah.
business takes off, and we got this one guy, Lucas, who he joined our community maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I mean, he's already doing six-figure months. Very impressive.
Awesome.
And then you have other stories like that, Sayed, where
Yeah.
someone starts and something just hits them immediately, and they get screwed, and business is done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we have hit over 30 to 30-minute mark, so I'll have to, stop the podcast there.
Yeah.
But very important point that I have got, or very important nugget that I have got from this podcast, is that 95% of, things happen while you are doing the product research. And
Yeah.
that actually makes a lot of sense, because you can actually see, if somebody is going to be a problem in the future. Yeah,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming on the podcast. Do you have any, closing remarks or any advice for the people who are starting out or stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say give yourself, if you're just getting into the business, give yourself a full year before you decide to give up and quit. Most people, they, try it for a couple weeks or maybe even a couple months, and they're like, "Oh, I only made $500 this month." I mean, the magic of Amazon happens with consistency and when you
Yeah.
really build that momentum. So give
Yeah.
yourself an entire year, an entire life cycle of 12 months to really build that momentum. And then if you need any support along the journey, I mean, AmazonLit.com or Instagram, Amazon Lit, we'd be more than happy to guide you along.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming on the podcast.
No
So yeah,
problem,
it
man.
was
Thanks
really
for
nice.
having me.
It was really nice talking to you.